The steady beeping of monitoring equipment filled the small control room of Europa Research Station 7. Marcus Reed rubbed his tired eyes, squinting at the array of screens before him. 3 months alone on Jupiter's icy moon had taught him to find comfort in these mechanical sounds, but tonight something was different. Among the usual patterns of data, an unusual signal caught his attention. "That's not possible," he muttered, adjusting the frequency. The signal was unlike anything in the station's database, a pulsing pattern that seemed to dance between standard communication bands. Marcus straightened in his chair, suddenly wide awake. His fingers flew across the holographic keyboard, trying to pinpoint the signal source. After 6 years of searching for signs of alien life, could this be it? The trace led to something large drifting in high orbit around Europa. Whatever it was, it hadn't been there yesterday. Marcus activated the station's main telescope, and his breath caught in his throat. The object was clearly a ship, but its design was like nothing humans had ever built. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, and its shape reminded him of ancient sea creatures from Earth's oceans. Following protocol, Marcus sent an encrypted message to Earth Command. "Unknown vessel detected in Europa orbit, requesting instructions." The reply came faster than he expected. "Priority ALERT. Do not 8PPOH. Vessel matches description of Nightshade transport. Military response incoming. Maintain observation only." Marcus's heart raced. Everyone knew about the Nightshades, the galaxy's apex predators. In the 20 years since humanity had joined the Galactic Council, the stories had become legend. Nightshades were said to be unstoppable killing machines, responsible for the destruction of entire colonies. But something about this situation didn't add up. The ship's orbit was decaying. At its current rate, it would crash into Europa's ice within hours. More importantly, Marcus's instruments detected a failing life support system aboard the vessel. Whatever was in there was dying. "This goes against everything they taught us," he said to himself, already suiting up in his EVA gear. The rational part of his brain screamed that this was suicide, but he couldn't just watch a dying creature, no matter how dangerous it might be. Marcus piloted his maintenance pod toward the alien ship. Up close, its hull showed signs of massive damage, as if it had barely survived a battle. He found an airlock that matched the universal designs used across the galaxy and managed to dock. The ship's interior was dark, lit only by occasional sparks from damaged systems. Marcus's helmet lights revealed corridors sized for something much larger than a human. The air was thin but breathable according to his suit's sensors. Following the emergency power signatures, Marcus made his way to what had to be the ship's medical bay. The door was jammed, but he managed to force it open enough to squeeze through. What he saw inside made him freeze. In a damaged stasis pod lay a creature that haunted the nightmares of a dozen species. The Nightshade was massive, easily 4 meters long, even curled up. Its black scales seemed to shift color slightly as it breathed, and rows of sensor organs ran along its sides. Despite its fearsome appearance, with claws that could easily tear through metal and jaws that could crush bones, the creature looked vulnerable. Its breathing was labored, and dark fluid leaked from several wounds. Marcus approached slowly, his heart pounding. Everything he'd ever been taught told him to run, to wait for the military, to let nature take its course. But as he got closer, the creature's eyes opened. They were deep purple, with swirls of bioluminescence that reminded Marcus of the auroras back on Earth. Those eyes focused on him with unmistakable intelligence, and in that moment, Marcus knew he couldn't walk away. The Nightshade made a low rumbling sound, not aggressive but almost questioning. It could have killed him instantly, but instead seemed to be studying him with equal curiosity. Marcus reached for the stasis pod's controls. "I must be crazy," he whispered, starting the emergency medical sequence. "But I'm not letting you die today." A warning blared through his helmet speakers. Military vessels approaching. ETA 40 minutes. Marcus looked at the injured creature. "Well, my friend, we don't have much time. Let's see if all those stories about your kind are true. The emergency medical system hummed to life as Marcus worked quickly, his hands moving across the alien controls. The nightshade watched his every move, its purple eyes tracking him with an intensity that should have been terrifying. But something in those eyes spoke of intelligence far beyond what the stories claimed. Alert! Unauthorized medical procedure initiated. The station's AI blared through his helmet. Earth Command orders immediate withdrawal. Marcus muted the AI. He had 35 minutes before the military arrived, and the creature's life signs were getting weaker. The stasis pod's readouts were in an alien language, but the universal medical symbols told him enough. Major tissue damage, internal bleeding, and system shock. "I'm going to help you," Marcus said softly, knowing the creature probably couldn't understand his words. "But you need to stay still." To his surprise, the nightshade's body relaxed slightly. Its scales shifted from pitch black to a slightly lighter shade, and a pattern of dim lights rippled along its flanks. Marcus remembered reading that some deep-sea creatures on Earth used similar patterns to communicate. The medical system beeped a warning. The creature needed blood, or whatever passed for blood in its species. Marcus noticed several empty fluid containers marked with warning symbols. The nightshade's eyes followed his gaze. Then it slowly raised one massive clawed hand and pointed to a storage unit across the room. You can understand me?" Marcus asked, his voice barely a whisper. The nightshade's scales flickered in what seemed like affirmation. Marcus hurried to the storage unit and found sealed containers of dark fluid. The labels matched those in the medical system. "Earth Command final warning." His radio crackled. "Step away from the target. This is a Class 1 threat. Military response is authorized to use lethal force." Marcus looked at the creature. Its breathing was getting worse. "They're wrong about you, aren't they? All those stories. They're not a whole truth." The nightshade's eyes pulsed with swirling patterns of light. It reached out again, this time touching its claw gently to Marcus's helmet. The touch could have crushed him instantly, but instead it was as careful as a surgeon. 20 minutes to military arrival, the AI announced. Marcus made his decision. He loaded the fluid containers into the medical system and activated the full healing sequence. The nightshade rumbled softly as medication flowed into its system. Its scales began to brighten slightly, the death-black color fading to reveal intricate patterns beneath. "I'm going to call you Shadow," Marcus said, checking the vital signs. "And I'm not letting them kill you." Shadow's eyes flickered with what Marcus could have sworn was amusement. The creature's massive body shifted, making room on the medical bed. With deliberate movements, it pointed to Marcus, then to the space beside it. "You want me to stay with you." Another ripple of lights along Shadow's scales. Marcus hesitated only for a moment before climbing carefully onto the bed. He expected to feel afraid, sitting next to a creature that could tear him apart in seconds. Instead, he felt oddly safe. Shadow's body temperature was rising to healthier levels. The creature produced a low, rhythmic rumble that Marcus felt through his suit. It reminded him of a cat's purr, if the cat was the size of a small shuttle. "Military vessels entering Europa orbit," the AI announced. Marcus looked at Shadow, whose eyes now showed complicated patterns he couldn't begin to understand. "They're coming to kill you, but I think I know a way out. It's crazy and probably against about 50 regulations." He paused as Shadow's scales rippled with what had to be laughter. "But first, you need to tell me, are you willing to trust a human?" Shadow's response was immediate. Its massive body curled protectively around Marcus, and its eyes glowed with a warmth that needed no translation. "Well then," Marcus said, already planning their escape, "let's show the galaxy what happens when humans and nightshades work together." Marcus worked quickly in the station's main lab, connecting various pieces of equipment while Shadow watched with interest. They had managed to sneak back to the station using the maintenance tunnels, buying precious time before the military found them. The massive creature had to curl up to fit in the lab, but it seemed comfortable enough. "Almost got it," Marcus said, adjusting a series of light panels and vibration sensors. "If I'm right about how you communicate, this should help us talk." Shadow's scales rippled with blue patterns, something Marcus was starting to recognize as curiosity. The creature had been nothing but gentle since their escape from its ship, moving with surprising grace despite its size. Marcus activated his makeshift translation system. The panels lit up in sequences matching Shadow's scale patterns, while sensors picked up the subsonic rumbles the creature produced. A basic computer program would try to find patterns in both. "Let's start simple," Marcus said, pointing to himself. "Marcus." He repeated the name several times while the system recorded his voice patterns. Shadow watched intently. Then its scales produced a complex pattern of lights, while it made a low, musical rumble. The computer recorded both. "That's your name?" Marcus asked. Shadow's scales flickered what he now recognized as yes. Over the next hour, they built a simple vocabulary. Marcus learned that Shadow's species used light and sound together to form complex ideas. What humans had thought was random aggressive behavior was actually a rich language. "Why does everyone think your kind is so dangerous?" Marcus asked, after they had established enough basic communication. Shadow's response came in waves of purple and deep blue lights, accompanied by rumbles that made the equipment shake slightly. The computer translated it into rough concepts. "Made for war / changed by old ones / broke free / run away / hide now." Marcus leaned forward, fascinated. "You were engineered? By whom?" Before Shadow could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. "Military forces detected on station perimeter," the AI announced. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Shadow's scales darkened with concern. The translation system picked up patterns meaning danger / protect / friend. "No," Marcus said firmly, understanding Shadow's intent to defend him. "No fighting. They'll kill you if you do." He quickly connected his tablet to the station's main computer. Years of research had taught him to always keep an escape plan ready. "There's an emergency exit through the thermal vent system. It leads to the surface, but you'll have to trust me completely." Shadow's response was immediate. "Trust / follow / together." Heavy footsteps echoed from the corridor outside. Marcus grabbed his emergency pack and some critical data chips. "Stay close to me, and whatever happens, don't hurt any of them. We need to show them you're not what they think." They slipped into the maintenance shaft just as the lab doors burst open. Marcus heard shocked voices as the military team found the empty room. Shadow moved with incredible stealth for its size, following Marcus through the narrow tunnels. The thermal vent system was a network of natural caves, heated by Europa's core. Steam clouds provided cover as they made their way upward. Behind them, Marcus could hear the search teams following their trail. "Almost there," Marcus whispered, though he knew Shadow could sense his vibrations anyway. "The surface is just ahead. But you need to know. I saw the readings from your ship. It's too damaged to fly. If we do this, we're both going to be stuck on Europa." Shadow's scales glowed with soft blue light. The pattern was new, but its meaning felt clear even without the translation system. "Rather be stuck here with friend than free among enemies." Marcus smiled, touched by the simple truth in those words. "Then let's find a way to change how they see you, together." Above them, through the vent opening, Europa's icy surface glittered under Jupiter's light. Behind them, searchlights pierced the steam as their pursuers drew closer. Marcus took a deep breath, ready to either make history or become it. Ready to show the galaxy something new, Shadow. The nightshade's answering glow lit up the entire tunnel with patterns that needed no translation. Hope, trust, and friendship. Europa's surface stretched endlessly in every direction, a vast plain of ice and snow under Jupiter's massive form. Marcus and Shadow emerged from the thermal vent into bitter cold that cut through even Marcus's environmental suit. The temperature readout showed -160 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze oxygen. "We need to find shelter," Marcus said through chattering teeth. Shadow's scales had taken on a deep blue color that seemed to absorb what little heat was available. The massive creature moved closer, providing some protection from the wind. The sound of engines made them both look up. 3 military shuttles circled overhead, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. Marcus checked his tablet's map. There's an abandoned research outpost 10 kilometers north. If we can reach it. A plasma bolt struck the ice near them, sending up a shower of frozen particles. Target located. A voice boomed over loudspeakers. Surrender immediately, or we will use lethal force. Shadow's scales flickered with patterns that Marcus had learned meant concern and protectiveness. The creature moved to shield him completely from the shuttles. No, Marcus shouted. Remember, no fighting. Follow me. They ran across the ice, Shadow matching its pace to Marcus's slower speed. More plasma bolts struck around them, but the military seemed hesitant to fire directly at Marcus. The human's presence was the only thing keeping Shadow alive. A particularly close blast cracked the ice beneath their feet. Marcus felt it giving way and shouted a warning. But it was too late. The surface collapsed, sending them both tumbling into a hidden crevasse. They fell through darkness. Marcus felt Shadow's claws wrapped gently around him, protecting him as they bounced off ice walls. They landed in deep snow at the bottom, Shadow taking the impact to shield Marcus from harm. You okay? Marcus asked, checking his suit for damage. His helmet light showed they were in a vast ice cave. Shadow's scales glowed with soft light, illuminating their surroundings with a gentle blue radiance. The patterns translated roughly to safe/worried about you/not hurt. Above them, the hole they'd fallen through was barely visible. The military shuttle searchlights swept past, not noticing the small opening. For the moment, they were hidden. Marcus checked his tablet, thankful it had survived. This cave system isn't on any maps. It must be part of Europa's subsurface ocean network. He looked at his friend with concern. But Shadow, these temperatures, even with your adaptations, you can't survive this cold forever. Shadow's response came in waves of purple light. Have survived worse/ will protect/ keep going. They began moving through the ice caves, Marcus using his tablet to maintain their northward direction, while Shadow's natural bioluminescence lit their way. The creature's massive form actually helped clear paths through narrower sections. After an hour of walking, they heard the echoing sound of drilling. The military was cutting through the ice, searching for them. Shadow's scales darkened with worry. Wait, Marcus said, studying his tablet's readings. These caves, they're following the path of thermal vents. That's why they're not on our maps. They're constantly changing as Europa's ice shifts. He pointed to a faint heat signature ahead. If we follow the warmth, we might find a way to that research outpost without going back to the surface. Shadow's scales pulsed with what Marcus now recognized as determination. The creature moved ahead, using its sensors to detect stronger heat sources. Its pattern spelled out, trust/follow heat/find way. They pressed deeper into Europa's ice caves, playing a deadly game of hide and seek with the military forces above. Marcus watched Shadow moving so carefully through the tight spaces, constantly checking on his safety, and felt a deep sadness. How could anyone think this intelligent, gentle being was just a mindless killer? A distant explosion echoed through the caves. The military was getting closer. Marcus placed his hand on Shadow's flank, feeling the gentle vibrations of its communication. We're going to prove them wrong about you, he promised. No matter what it takes. Shadow's answering patterns glowed like stars in the darkness. Already proved them wrong / found true friends / worth everything. The thermal vent provided enough warmth for them to rest. Marcus sat with his back against the ice wall, watching Shadow's scales shift through patterns of deep blue and purple in the darkness. They had been moving through Europa's caves for 6 hours, staying ahead of the military search teams. I still don't understand, Marcus said, checking his suit's oxygen levels. If your kind wasn't naturally violent, how did everyone come to fear you so much? Shadow's bioluminescent patterns rippled slowly, thoughtfully. The creature settled into a more comfortable position, its massive form curled protectively around Marcus. The patterns began to tell a story. Long ago, different galaxies, creators found us, simple hunters, changed us. Marcus leaned forward, fascinated. The old ones you mentioned before. They found your species and modified you. Yes, made us weapons, stronger, faster, better senses. Shadow's patterns showed hints of red, anger, or sadness. Marcus wasn't sure, but kept minds, kept hearts, would not kill without reason. The ice walls reflected Shadow's lights, creating a makeshift star field around them. So what happened? Marcus asked softly. Creators wanted control, we refused, broke free, Great War. The patterns became more complex, showing scenes Marcus could barely follow. Many died, both sides, had to run, hide across stars. A distant rumble made them both look up. The military was still searching, but they were safe for now in the deep caves. Marcus checked his tablet's map of the heat signatures. The outpost should be 2 more hours ahead. But Shadow, why didn't your kind ever try to tell anyone the truth? Shadow's scales dimmed to almost black, then slowly brightened. Tried at first, always met with fear, weapons only good for fighting, what they believed, became truth. A self-fulfilling prophecy, Marcus said sadly. They feared you would attack, so they attacked first, which made you defend yourselves, which made them fear you more. Yes, easier to hide, safer alone. Shadow's patterns shifted to a gentler blue. Until now, until you first to ask, first to see. Marcus felt his throat tighten with emotion. He reached out and placed his hand on Shadow's flank, feeling the subtle vibrations that accompanied its light patterns. How many of you are there? How many are hiding? Thousands, scattered, watching, waiting. Shadow's eyes fixed on Marcus with that intense purple glow. Could help each other, humans, and my kind, if they knew truth. Another explosion echoed through the caves, closer this time. Marcus quickly checked his tablet. They're getting better at tracking us. We need to move. Shadow rose smoothly to its full height, helping Marcus up with a surprisingly gentle touch of its claws. But before they started moving, it produced a new pattern, one Marcus hadn't seen before. What does that mean? He asked, watching the complex swirls of blue and silver light. Old word / from before creators / means family / those who share path. Shadow's eyes seemed to smile. You are this now. Marcus felt warmth spread through his chest, despite the bitter cold around them. We're going to fix this, Shadow. We're going to show everyone the truth about your kind, no matter what it takes. They began moving again through the ice caves, following the heat signatures that would lead them to the outpost. Marcus watched Shadow navigate the narrow passages with grace that belied its size, and thought about how wrong everyone had been. The galaxy's most feared predator wasn't a mindless killer. It was a refugee, hiding from a past that had been forced upon it. Shadow, Marcus said as they walked, when we get through this, I promise you'll never have to hide again. The answering patterns of light were simple but clear. Trust you / believe you / family now / forever. The abandoned research outpost loomed before them, half buried in Europa's ice. Marcus and Shadow approached cautiously, watching for any signs of the military. The structure's metal walls were covered in frost, but faint lights still glowed from within. Backup power was still working. Something's not right, Marcus whispered, checking his tablet. The heat signatures are too strong for an abandoned facility. Shadow's scales rippled with warning patterns, others inside / waiting / trap. They had barely processed this when floodlights burst to life around them. Military personnel emerged from behind ice formations, weapons raised. Marcus counted at least 20 soldiers, all wearing heavy environmental suits. "Step away from the creature, Marcus Reed." Commander Wilson's voice boomed through external speakers. The commander himself stood in the outpost's doorway, flanked by more soldiers. "This is your final warning." Shadow's scales darkened, but not with aggression, with fear for Marcus. The pattern spelled out, "Let me surrender / save yourself / keep you safe." "No," Marcus said firmly. Then he noticed something in the outpost behind the soldiers, old computer banks still humming with power. An idea formed in his mind. "Commander Wilson," Marcus called out, "before you do anything, there's something you need to see." He slowly reached into his pack and pulled out the data chips from his research station. "I've recorded everything since first contact. The truth about the Nightshades. It's all here." "The creature has clearly affected your mind," Wilson replied. "Stand down." Shadow moved slightly, and 20 weapons charged up instantly. But the Nightshade was only shifting to better protect Marcus from the bitter cold. "Look at it," Marcus shouted, his voice carrying across the ice field. "Look at how it's protecting me. Everything we thought we knew about Nightshades is wrong. They were victims, not aggressors." He began walking slowly toward the outpost's main console, Shadow moving with him, still shielding him. They were engineered as weapons by an ancient race, but they broke free. They'd been hiding across the galaxy, peaceful unless attacked. All our fears, all our stories. We've been wrong the whole time. Commander Wilson's weapon didn't waver. "That thing is the galaxy's most lethal predator. It's killed entire colonies." "No," Marcus said firmly. "Their kind only fought back when attacked. They've been trying to find peace, but our fear kept turning into violence." He reached the console, Shadow still protecting him despite being surrounded by weapons. "And I can prove it." Marcus plugged the data chips into the console. The outpost's old communications array hummed to life. "I'm broadcasting everything. The first contact, our communication breakthrough, the truth about their history. Every Earth colony will see it." Shadow's scales began to glow with patterns Marcus had never seen before, ancient symbols telling their species' full story. The light show reflected off the ice walls, creating a breathtaking display. "They're not mindless killers," Marcus continued, his voice broadcasting along with the data. "They're refugees scattered across space, hiding from a past they didn't choose. Look at Shadow now, surrounded by weapons but still not attacking. Still just protecting, not harming." The soldiers looked uncertain now, watching as Shadow's lights told a story of pain, hope, and the search for peace. Commander Wilson's weapon lowered slightly. "If they wanted to kill us, they could have done it centuries ago," Marcus said softly. "They're stronger than us, faster, more advanced. But they don't want war. They never did. All they want is what every species wants, a chance to live in peace." Shadow's patterns shifted to those that meant family and trust, surrounding Marcus with gentle light. Some of the soldiers lowered their weapons, moved by the display. Commander Wilson stared at Shadow for a long moment, then at Marcus. "If you're wrong about this." "I'm not," Marcus said firmly. "And I'm willing to stake my life on it. The question is, are you willing to stake humanity's future on fear, or are you ready to learn the truth?" 1 year later, Marcus stood at the observation window of the new Europa Research Center, watching as a group of Nightshades helped human engineers install equipment on the moon's icy surface. Their natural resistance to extreme conditions made them perfect partners for space construction. Shadow's scales glowed with pride beside him as they observed the cooperation below. "Remember when they wanted to kill you?" Marcus asked with a smile. "Now look at this." Shadow's patterns rippled with amusement. "Humans learn fast / when they choose to see / truth breaks fear." The past year had brought changes nobody could have imagined. After Marcus's broadcast from the abandoned outpost, other Nightshades had begun emerging from hiding across the galaxy. Decades of fear and misunderstanding slowly gave way to collaboration and trust. Director Reed. A young researcher approached them. The new communication system is ready for testing. Marcus nodded, following her to the main lab with Shadow close behind. The room was filled with advanced equipment. A joint project between human and nightshade scientists to create a universal translator for their species. "Still can't believe they made you director," came Commander Wilson's voice. The former military leader, now head of security for the research center, entered the lab with a grin. "Though I suppose discovering a peaceful alliance with the galaxy's most advanced species looks good on a resume." Shadow's scales flickered with teasing patterns. Marcus still gets lost / in own facility / need maps. "Hey," Marcus laughed. "I understood that pattern." His growing fluency in nightshade communication was a source of pride, though the new translator would help others learn much faster. The lab hummed with activity as humans and nightshades worked side by side. What had once been considered impossible was now becoming routine. The nightshade's advanced understanding of biology and physics, combined with human creativity and innovation, was opening new frontiers in science. "Latest report from the Galactic Council," Wilson said, handing Marcus a tablet. 3 more nightshade communities have made official contact. They're calling it the Great Reunion. Shadow's patterns shifted to deep blue, joy tinged with old sadness. Family finding family / after so long / because of human friend. Marcus placed a hand on Shadow's flank, feeling the gentle vibrations that accompanied its lights. "We all lost something to fear," he said softly. "Your people lost their homes, their connections. Humans lost the chance to know amazing allies, but we're fixing it now together." The main screen lit up with incoming transmissions from nightshade ships across the galaxy. Each one showed similar scenes, humans and nightshades working together, learning from each other, building something new. The ancient weapons had become teachers, healers, and friends. "Survey team found another old outpost," Wilson reported. "Has some of that ancient tech you were talking about, Shadow. The stuff used to change your people." Shadow's patterns remained calm. "Past is past / choose new path / better future." Marcus smiled, remembering their desperate escape through Europa's caves a year ago. One human's choice to trust, one nightshade's choice to be gentle despite its power. Small moments that changed the galaxy. "Next week's symposium is going to be interesting," Marcus said. "First time we're hosting representatives from every major human colony and nightshade community. Never thought I'd see the day." Shadow's scales rippled with the pattern for family. The first one it had taught Marcus in those ice caves. But now the pattern was bigger, more complex, incorporating new elements that meant growing and together. "Prove them wrong." Marcus quoted his own words from that first day. "No matter what it takes." Shadow's answering patterns lit up the lab like an aurora. Already did / changed galaxy / with trust / with friendship / with family. Outside the window, Jupiter hung massive in the black sky, watching as ancient fears melted like Europa's ice, revealing the warmth of understanding beneath. Human and nightshade, predator and prey, fear and trust. All the old stories were being rewritten, one shared moment at a time.